up is our boss panel. The panel that started it all, actually, because this year we have 3 panels. Our first year, our powerhouse panel became a breakout highlight of a rare day, obviously. The second year, too, due to the incredible experience and knowledge of our speakers. And why is this the boss panel? Because, among many things, these women are responsible for casting and shaping the voices and narratives that influence us through media, social, digital events, and brands. Between them, they've worked with global talent and global brands and media platforms that we use every day. They're here to share what it's like to build lasting careers in the digital age in fashion, beauty, and media, and maybe how you can too. Here to moderate is CASSY Martinez, founder of LADYLAB, winner of our 2018 $10,000 Female Forward Grant. As a digital strategist who's worked alongside the web's most influential women, CASSY was inspired to build a space for boss ladies, from witnessing firsthand the growth sparked from connecting top female creators for noteworthy and meaningful collaborations. Before writing one line of LADYLAB's code, CASSY and her team spent months interviewing potential users, beta testing, and strategizing a safe space for women to see each other as collaborators versus competition. Please welcome CASSY to the stage, and I will hand it over to her.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Panel. I'm CASSY Martinez, and I'm the founder of LADYLAB, a platform for women to connect and collaborate. If you guys are ready to take your hustle to the next level, check us out in the App Store. And as she mentioned, LADYLAB was the first ever recipient of the Be Rare Foundation grant, which was huge for us. That $10,000 really took us to the next level and helped us get our legs. And we are so grateful to the ladies at Rare, and you guys as well for being here. Now today, we are going to be spilling the tea on building careers in the digital age of fashion, beauty, and media. Let's meet our amazing boss ladies that are here to spill the sauce on what makes them a boss. Let's start up with Natasha VAQUER. So Natasha VAQUER is the Vice President of Talent Partnerships and Influencer Strategy for Refinery 29. Hi. Yeah, please join us. I know, I was like, wait, should I come? So Natasha, you're the Vice President of Talent Partnerships and Influencer Strategy for Refinery 29, the leading digital media company for millennial women. At Refinery 29, she oversees the Talent Collective and works with influencers, celebrity talent, and tastemakers to grow and evolve their alignment across the brand's tentpole products and events. Prior to joining Refinery 29, Natasha was the head of talent acquisitions at Style Hall, the largest fashion and beauty multi-channel network on YouTube. Prior to Style Hall, Mrs. VAQUER was part of the business development team at the United Talent Agency, working on strategic partnerships for the agency. She joined UTA after spending several years as an investment banker at Deutsche Bank and Bear Stearns. Welcome. Ivy CAVIC. She is an entertainment industry leader with over 15 years of experience. In her previous role at Roar, she not only headed the TV talent department, but founded their digital talent department as well. She has helped build some of YouTube's most innovative stars. In 2018, Ivy combined forces with Ashley Villa as a partner at Rare Global, where she continues to find new ways to bridge the gap between traditional and digital media. Welcome, Ivy. Thank you. Amanda MARZOLF. Amanda, welcome. She is a partner in the alternative programming, digital media licensing, branding, and podcast department at ABRAMS Artist Agency in Los Angeles. Amanda specializes in bolstering the personal brands of top influencers and celebrities who have amassed a substantial footprint across digital platforms. In addition to brand building, Amanda specializes in crossover strategy, leveraging digital platforms to segue into linear television, publishing, licensing, merchandising, touring, etc. The works. Prior to working at Abrams Artist Agency, Amanda worked in the alternative programming department at Kaplan Stoller Agency, focusing on personal appearances and branding for unscripted talent. Amanda is extremely passionate about educating assistants and further future agents. She helped develop and currently sits on the board of the Agents in Training program. She recently started the podcast department and spearheaded the expansion of the in-house Abrams podcast studio. Impressive. And lastly, we have Christina Woody Train. CHRYSTINA has more than 16 years of experience building teams and leading global marketing campaigns for brands like Disney, Verizon, Samsung, Microsoft, and General Motors. She has worked with leading agencies such as Edelman, Weber Shandwick, and Porter Novelli, as well as partnered with pioneering brands like The Honest Company, VidCon, Style Hall, BeautyCon, Instagram, Rock the Bells, and Kevin Hart's LOL Network from the ground up. She is a proven leader in corporate and consumer communications, as well as how best to engage brands, partners, and clients when it comes to creators, content, commerce, and creative distribution channels. Her recent mission-based events like Girls Build Summit, Teen Vogue Summit, and Instagram's Share Black Stories made headlines. Now, this is an impressive group of ladies, and why don't we get started with our first question? Let's get to know each of you better. How about, Natasha, you start first. Could you briefly introduce yourself and give us a little background on your career path? Where did you start?
Sure. I started in investment banking many, many years ago, before influencer marketing was a thing. So I did that for several years in New York and LA. And then I worked in business development at E-Entertainment when mobile was just becoming a thing and there were video on mobile for the first time. Again, far before any of you guys were probably using phones. And then I worked at UTA in business development and ended up at a YouTube MCN, which is where I met Christina and Ashley and a bunch of other people, and kind of started in the YouTube space, took a chance, and kind of ended up where I am today.
Amazing. Ivy?
Oh, it's on already, great. I started at ICM in the mailroom, pushing a mail cart, yeah, 7 a.m., right? And I, did their full-on training program, which is you start in the mailroom, you get on your first desk, you get on your second desk, and then you get promoted to coordinator. And then I decided I didn't want to be an agent. So I decided to go into management. I went to a company called Principato Young, which is now called Artist First. They represent some of the largest talent right now. Worked there, got promoted again, and really just started to focus on the TV space. I loved television growing up. I love movies too, but the way you tell a story through seasons is just something that has always interested me. I liked character development. And then I went to a company called Roar, where I worked with some of the top traditional movie stars that are current. I worked with the Hemsworths, I worked with Kobe Smulders, Liam, and I fell into the digital space while I was there. I signed these little twins. They came into my office with a guitar and a little piano, and that sort of, I was like, wait, what is going on? This YouTube thing, you can watch cats water ski on YouTube. You can't, what's going on here? So I started to just do a lot of homework and figure out what that looked like. Simultaneously, I was also running their television department, and I, realized that YouTube was a place for people to actually create, and, I got to be a part of that creative simultaneously, as opposed to just putting people in casting jobs, and I just sort of fell in love in that space. And so a couple of years ago, when Ashley and I met, we realized, we have very different skills, but they complemented each other. So we decided to partner, and, I very early saw the appeal of the digital world and how using different social platforms to just make stuff. It's hard to get stuff done in the TV space. You can make whatever the heck you want, and digital, there's so many platforms now, especially. So yeah, we partnered. It'll be 2 years this April, and I now run the traditional space. I work with all the different streaming platforms, and we're also in the process of building the production arm, because we are going to produce television content. And yeah, that's my story.
Amazing.
I'm Amanda Marzolf. I'm a partner at A3 Artist Agency, formerly known as Abrams Artist Agency. We just rebranded. Last week. It's fine. I'm still getting used to it. So my path is probably most similar to Ivy's path. I've essentially been in the agency business my whole career. I started with an internship, as people tend to do, although at that point I was working in reality production. From there, I went to Kaplan Stellar Agency, like you said in my bio, and there I was working with reality TV stars. But what I found there was I just had nothing in common with the cast of Duck Dynasty. Didn't care about it, couldn't relate, don't have a beard, I wasn't into it. But what I did start liking, tends to happen with me, I get obsessed with something, I start liking something, and then I pursue it. So, but who I did have things in common with were people like Hannah Hart and Grace Helbig and all these, people around my age, maybe a little bit just older than me, expressing themselves on YouTube. I thought that was so interesting. They're getting drunk in their kitchen and making food. I can do that too. I do that. And so, I started getting really interested in the digital side of things. And from there, it was just digital all the way. But went over to A3, which is a larger agency than Kaplan Stellar, and just kind of did the typical thing. Started as assistant, moved my way up to, coordinator, junior agent, senior agent, and now partner. And so just kind of had the typical path and have, worked on a lot of projects and expanded the department. It started with 2 of us, and now there's 30 across LA, New York, and now the UK. So it's been cool to see the expansion.
Fantastic. And Christina?
Sure. Hey, everyone. So like the majority of the women here, I got my start as well in the traditional agency side of things, but primarily on the marketing and creative branding side at the bigger agencies. And it's cool, like I did that for 14 years, and you get promoted every year. You kind of know exactly how many billable hours you need to make your Samsung client happy, your General Motors client happy, your McDonald's client happy. You get to a certain level, it gets real cushy. And you can either like sit back and like try to like become like the head of an office, and that just becomes a lot of like paperwork and admin, or if you are creatively inclined like myself, you try to figure out how you can either stay in the agency world and stay relevant or go do something else. Lucky for me, I had a very good friend named Vanessa Del Muro who also works in the space, and she was like, girl, there's this startup. It's a little bit crazy, but I think it'd be great for you. It's like fashion, beauty, tech. It's called Style Hall. You should come and do it. And I was kind of like, I had just met a new man. I thought I was about to get married. I was going to have a baby. I knew that I could stay at the agency life and just like do my little billable hours and like focus on my personal life. But of course, the creative inclination in me, I went to go do the startup. Worked there for I worked there for 2 years, probably felt like 20 for most of us. And then but it was a very interesting 2 years because it was a grinding 2 years, but a very fruitful one. And I think even the senior level and executive staff, I think it showed all of us that no matter how senior you get, you can never stop learning in your career. So that part was dope. And then the last 5 years, I've been running my own consulting firm, and that has been probably the most rewarding work, I would have to say, because I can say yes to stuff, no to stuff. I don't have to work on big things. I can work on smaller retainers, bigger retainers, like whatever kind of floats my boat, and still make some decent coin. So that has been like really, I guess, inspiring for the last couple years.
Fantastic. So excited for this panel. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about how someone can get hired, begin a career in this space, and work with you. Where is a good place to start when entering this digital industry and trying to work for an agency and brand? How about we start with you, Natasha? You've built a great team. What are a couple of things that you look for when you glance at a resume?
So I'm actually hiring for someone right now in New York. So I would say spelling. Spelling is a big thing. I will immediately pass on a resume if it's grammatically incorrect, if there's a spelling error, if something is glaring. It's a one piece of paper that is supposed to describe you when I can't see you and meet you. And I think it's really important, and you'd be surprised how many people submit resumes that have they're addressed to the wrong company, they're addressed to the wrong person, all that stuff. So I would say that's really important. And also I look for, especially with the younger people, I look for people having some longevity at a place. I think that hopping around too much, for me, shows that you're not willing to learn. I think there's something to be learned in every job, and I think you should give jobs a chance and take from it what you will, and then realize when it's time that you want to do something else or potentially do something within an organization. So my organization just got purchased by Vice Media, so we're a much larger company now where there's more opportunity for people. Not to say that you shouldn't make a move, but I think it's important to have some longevity in a workplace. So I do definitely look for that. I don't look for people like 6 months into a job looking for a new job. I feel like that's a bad sign.
Totally fair. Amanda and Ivy, I'd love to pick you guys' brains. What do you look for in that first interview?
First interview.
You start.
I'm thinking. I mean, so I've looked at the resume. Oh, by the way, spacing too. Just an FYI. That's like because you can tell attention to detail. God, I think, I feel like a lot of people get a little nervous, so, especially in this space. A lot of you are, some of their first interviews ever. And it's like, how do you conduct yourself? It's funny because now I don't want to shake anybody's hands because of the coronavirus, but that handshake is so important to me. Like that firm look you in the eye, like just, do you know what I'm talking about? Like just, I'm here, like, and you're commanding your space. I think that that's really important, and it also like can show like you're overcoming nerves if you're nervous. What else do I look for? I have to think. You start.
For me, it's all about the questions that I'm asking them. And so for me, it's really important that when I'm hiring somebody, I want them to, be really, really eager and passionate and know something already about digital media, about YouTubers. I ask that. I'm like, who are you watching? Tell me. Who do you like? Who are you watching? Where do you spend your time? Is it Instagram? Is it YouTube? I really like to find that out. If they don't know anything about it, it's just, I'm trying to shape more agents. We want to grow the department. We want to grow just generally. I'd prefer to put my time into shaping young agents, or even if you don't want to be an agent, someone who has an eagerness and a passion and curiosity, I guess, about what the position is.
And also, like, you can always read a bio online about like who you're meeting with, but I guess, yeah, you're right. Passion is really important. The first question I actually ask is, what are your favorite TV shows? Like, what are you watching right now? What's in your Netflix lineup?
Exactly.
What's,
Blind.
Oh my God!
Everybody's
yes.
reunion just happened.
And the circle.
Obsessed with that.
Glad to know your favorite. No, I think that that's actually a very good question. What else do I ask?
I also ask, I tend to end with, how do you deal under pressure? Because I think in representation and a lot of what we do, it's fast moving and things like that. And so I like to figure out, okay, can they stay calm? How do they deal with
and
criticism?
the other thing is asking questions. I always say, you can ask questions, but you've got to figure your shit out first before you ask me the question. Like, are you good at that? Can you
be self-sufficient?
Yeah, exactly.
You can Google.
Oh my God.
Everybody can Google.
Yes, but you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. And also, like, this is gonna sound weird, but like when someone walks in and, I know it's gonna sound, I don't care what you're wearing, but is it ironed? Is it fine-tuned? Is it, I've had people come in very disheveled, and I'm just like, well, if you're disheveled in what you're wearing, are you disheveled every day? Like, does that, like...
Yeah, is your work style a little bit messy?
Yeah, and that's okay if you're a little bit messy if that's your style, but like, I also think that it contributes to how you work throughout the day. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
I don't want to sound like...
Now, ladies, how important are internships to you guys when you're hiring somebody new?
Well, if they're very young, internships matter because that's the job experience that they have. Otherwise, maybe if they've been in the workforce for a while, but they've had a job or two, but they haven't had an internship, I don't think that's the thing that's going to impact them getting hired for me.
Yeah, I don't really care about internships or where you were an assistant, because I feel like with some individuals, there's like privilege there. So maybe you live next door to a CEO and he's like, hey, my daughter or my son needs a job, and you might be shit at what you do. So I think it's just really important, like how you present. You could never have had a job before a day in your life, but if you come in to meet with us and you showcase like a passion or a knowledge, or you at least like know what day it is, you're on time, all those kind of things matter, because there are definitely people that have really fancy resumes with right spacing and no grammatical errors and no spelling errors because they have sort of access and resources and privilege to have those things made for them. So I'm always looking for people like, are you down? Can you grind it out? Do you have a personality? Do I like you? Do I want to sit next to you? Do I want to be at an event with you? If you have all that, then you're good with me. But I think I try to judge everyone based on where they are at that time, because someone that went to a 4-year prestigious college versus someone that maybe they've been working at a restaurant or at the local mall because they have to help to support their family. Like, I just try to be like level-headed when I'm looking at people, because not all people are created or have the same experiences, you know what I mean?
I agree. I don't really care. Yeah.
Well, damn, okay.
Love that.
I don't care where you went to school, where you went to college. I don't care. Like, some people, college isn't for them. Like, it's literally like, but, you know, for me, like, the resume is actually like, it's a tell of how you're gonna do some of the, like.
If you did it yourself.
Yeah, if you did it yourself. If you hired someone to do it, well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like, you're gonna get in the door, but
Although I guess if you hire someone to do it, that shows ingenuity. Like,
there
you
you
were
go.
like, you know,
she
what?
figured shit out.
Yeah, you know, so I'm not really mad at that either, I
But
guess.
you know what, I think it also depends on where you're interviewing. So like for my company, we use a tool to go through resumes. So we have thousands of resumes to go through. It's the only way I can get you get through to our desk. So for us, it depends on where you're going. If you're going for a smaller company where you can interview every person, it's a totally different ballgame, I agree. But if you're going to a big company, like an agency or, you know, like my company, the only way that I will see you initially is through a resume, and there's thousands in a system, and it's a first glance thing, and I skip through, and it even tells you how many minutes I have to get through 1,000 resumes. So I'm looking literally at those things. Like, it's not necessarily I agree about school and stuff, but it is, I think about what their experience is, and I don't care if you worked in a restaurant for a year or you worked in, but, you know, coming up and, you know, showing your best self, at least on paper, is really important. I also do look to people's LinkedIn profiles.
Me too.
Usually they're included in their resumes, I think now more than ever, but it's a great way to look at someone at first glance.
Do you look at their like personal social too?
Me too.
If it's if it's open, like do you look?
I do.
If it's open, yes, and usually in an interview process, obviously we are on social media, but yes, I do look at it, and I think that if there's content on there that should be private, then your Instagram should be private.
Cool. Well, Natasha, you just brought up a big difference between the panelists today, which is some of you guys come from big firms and some of you are with boutique businesses. Ivy and Christina, you both have experience working for big companies and now have independent businesses. What's it like building your business? What's rewarding and what's challenging? What surprised you?
I think some of the challenges are just like missing those resources, like what Natasha just mentioned, like having a tool that kind of like helps you drill down resumes, so you don't have to interview every single person. You have like some sort of filters there, as opposed to just like me, like thumbing through and getting paper cuts or whatever. So I do miss some of the infrastructure, like finance, invoicing, margins on things, like good help is hard to find, that kind of thing. So I guess like the infrastructure piece, what I don't miss is like bureaucracy and red tape and like lots of level of approvals. Like if I want to take on a piece of business, I can take it on. If I don't want to take it on, I don't have to. And I definitely spent years at agencies, and this is no shade to big agencies. I think everyone should actually work at a big agency as a coordinator or an assistant in a junior position, because you just learn so much. But I definitely worked on brands that I wasn't personally passionate about because I was at the agency and they were cutting my checks. But now that I have my own thing, you know, I can say no, which is a gift and a curse, for lack of a better word. But I will never sort of shade the experience I had at the big agencies, because I just learned how to do a lot of stuff because I was a junior person at a bigger, so now I know how to do invoicing on my own or make a list or do research, because I had to do all that when I was junior, and now I'm the owner, and I'm still doing that.
Right, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you just have to, it's funny because this has been more recent for me being on my own. And, I worked really hard and I was at the top of the food chain in the company that I was at. And then you go and it's a whole different world where it's like now I have to roll up my sleeves and like I'm in the dirt with everybody. And it has, for me, it's like changed the way I feel about a team, if that makes sense. I'd always been like fighting my way up to the top, and then you get there, and then all of a sudden it's like, I want to hire people. Now that I like, as you said, I think that's the most important. Mm-hmm. But it sucks having to send invoices and do I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we all want to get paid.
Oh my gosh! Someone told me that if you have a small company and you don't have a big staff, but you want to chase a client down for money, you just make like a separate email address with like a fake name.
Ooh,
and then you just say okay, I'm Christina, I'm sending you your program, but then here's my finance person named Jane, and she's coming after you because your invoice is late.
That.
The only problem is that if they want to get on the phone, you need to find someone to play Jane or be able to do a really good fake British accent or something so they don't find you out.
I mean, use it. You call me. I'll give you a client, an actor. I'll be like, one of our clients. Cool. No,
The pro tips that we
really
need.
Good. Write that down. Write that down.
some
Don't,
realness.
as a business owner, don't chase your clients for money. Make a fake email address and let the fake email address chase your clients for your money. I'm serious.
I love it,
Yeah,
personally.
it's
or just put all your clients with agents and let them do it.
or that.
I'm trying to think what else. It's the running your own business is so much harder than I ever imagined. But the flip side is, 3 of us up here have children, and so I get to run my own schedule. I'm not in a staff meeting every day for 3 hours a day. I get in when I get in, I do what I need to do. If I need to leave to do a doctor's appointment, I could do it. And sometimes I forget that I don't have to answer to anybody. And that has been, actually, it's been the hardest lesson, but also the most freeing lesson for me. I never expected to be my own boss. It's been, it's kind of amazing. I still pinch myself, and I'm like, holy shit! Oh, sorry. I'm allowed to curse, whatever.
Do it.
But I'm like, oh my god, I'm paying the bills. I'm doing it on my own terms. I'm keeping 2 babies' mouths fed. I mean, I have a double. My husband helps. Don't get me wrong, but it's just. It's humbling, it's inspiring, and it makes you realize, oh my God, you guys are all, I work with creators, but you know what? I'm a creator too. I'm just my own version of a creator.
Totally.
Anyway, so.
Fantastic. Amanda, you recently became a partner at your agency. Can you tell us what it took to get there and how your job has grown?
Yes, definitely. So I think the thing is, there's entrepreneurs and then there's intrapreneurs, right? So we've got some badass entrepreneurs here, and I think maybe everybody in this room and everybody on this panel for sure, we're all entrepreneurial in spirit, right? We all maybe started somewhere big, went somewhere small, or in your big agency, like I tried to do, you just have to fight for what you want and make it sort of what you want. And that's exactly what I did to move up. I think there's only 5 or 6 female partners at the agency. There's probably over 10 male partners at the agency, and I'm definitely the youngest, right?
Wow.
But it's because, listen, I've always been in a hurry. I'm always in a hurry. I'm a super impatient person. And so the thing is, at an agency like mine, and I think just kind of being in representation, the way you move up is just kind of different, right? So you not quite at an agency like where Christina worked, where you you have to hit quotas and you have to do these things. At an agency like I'm at, a talent agency like I'm at, or maybe even a management company, you really have to just push and push and push and push, ask 1,000 times, present evidence, and you know what? If you're renegotiating, no one's going to ask you to renegotiate. You have to figure it out. You have to think, oh, I'm having a good year. Oh, I've been doing a lot of extra things. I deserve a raise. I deserve to move up. But guess what? like, you have to fight for what that is. It's not like, okay, 2 years in, you're gonna move up now. It's not how it works. Agents get lawyers to negotiate their contracts. It's, it's a process that you really, at every step, you have to fight for because no one's gonna give it to you. Not saying in other areas you're gonna get handed it, not at all. But I think I'm someone who's always just been kind of fighting, kind of poking the bear at all times. To move up, I can report that after our company retreat, the women's bathrooms will now have tampons.
Woo!
Yes, that is my first thing I've done as a partner, pretty much.
Nice.
So take that for what it's worth. But it's things like that, like forming women's committees, things like that. There's so many more managerial duties that I have to do now. But I think even in a more corporate setting, you can fight to be creative and be entrepreneurial. Like you mentioned, I started the podcast department. I mean, I just kind of went in there and I was like, we should do this. Here's a budget. Can I do it? And they're like, okay. So work at some place, obviously, that kind of values that. Not every place does, and I'm lucky that A3 does. But I think, you can be entrepreneurial and you can also be intrapreneurial. And I think that's something maybe people don't know about the corporate, I guess, landscape.
You said something really interesting, which was just the I deserve part. Because I think a lot of us, some of us are older than others, but like we've been fighting this for a really long time, and knowing what you work for and what you deserve and not being afraid to ask for that, especially in a company like yours, which is, initially run by men. Yeah, that's how to say it. But like, that's something. We're not booing them or anything, but like.
But also, like, when she said presenting evidence, I was like, yeah, like, you have to go, like, Law and Order, like,
No
on
shit.
them. Like, you have to be, like, Exhibit A, Exhibit B,
But, like,
Exhibit C.
1,000%.
The I deserve part too. Like you're like, you know what? Here's everything. You've got your, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna win my case. But like, you know what? I fucking deserve this. And and sorry, I did not mean to interject or
No.
take over, but like that's just something that like.
Thank you for saying that. And I think people just don't know that, or it shouldn't even be looked at. Sometimes people think, oh, is that entitled? But I don't think so. And I think sometimes you just got to do it. You got to do the thing. You put in your time. I was talking to another agent the other day, and she's like, man, like I wish there was like a diversity committee at this agency. And I was like, start it. She's like, what? I can't. I'm like, yes, you can. March into the president's office, say, hey, I want to start a diversity committee where we meet once a month. Gonna need a little bit of budget. And just ask, just try. And it didn't occur to her, but it's because of, I'm sure, past experiences, things like that, just the corporate landscape. But you just gotta try, you just gotta push. Because we deserve that committee, right? The world deserves committees like that.
I just
think.
like that today. That should be like I'm coining that for the motto of our panel, the I deserve part.
Yes, all for that. Amazing group of self-starters here. Now let's talk about working at the forefront of your industry. Christina, you have incredible experience helping to produce women's events like BeautyCon and Teen Vogue Summit. With your marketing background and current work, you've been able to champion diverse narratives and platforms. Can you tell us about that?
Ooh, can I? Yeah, I mean, for me, it's so important that if you do get to a place of influence and you have a platform that can truly, hopefully affect change, that you're actually pushing it forward. Like the fact that, I'm assuming the person that wanted to start the diversity committee was a person of color, correct? So the fact that like, it's not just people of color, or within my personal case, like black women, I usually don't like to interchange those words. Like there's people of color, there's black women, there's Latina women, there's Asian women, there's, and within that, there's different cultural representations, Chinese, Japanese, Filipino. Like, you have to be very mindful of all that because we all have unique experiences. I was just talking about this with someone backstage. But one thing I always look for when I am working on these kind of events is it in an echo chamber, right? So, like, if we're gonna produce an event about female empowerment or diversity, yes, I think it's important to have safe space. Hey, the lights
look
right?
different.
Okay. It was cool with all the lights up. Yes, I think it's important for us to have safe spaces where we as women can get together, we as black women can get together and just kind of have safe spaces. But I also think it's important that we don't always do things in an echo chamber, because we're not going to actually affect change if we don't have like white women and like allies being like, girl, you better go in there and start that diversity group, you know what I mean? Or a platform like Refinery 29 where it's like, hey, we're gonna start R29 unbothered because we think black women need a safe space to kind of like curate and create content. So in terms of like the Teen Vogue Summit and the Girls Build Summit and all those things, those were projects that I would have taken whether they paid me $0 or they were able to meet the fee, because we're literally producing and curating programming that is speaking to like young, passionate, hungry women, or our LGBTQ plus, you know, brothers and sisters that, you know, are trying to find their way in a space. Can you imagine what it's like being not a woman at an agency, but a black woman? Then you layer on like being a trans black woman. So just trying to find like, trying to pick and choose projects where like when I lay my head down, I'm like, you know what, like, I did that. I did something good today. Like, and I made some money, you know. It's not,
The perfect marriage.
yeah. It doesn't always happen, but.
That's amazing. Now, Natasha, in crafting talent partnerships and influencer strategy at Refinery 29, how do you stay ahead of the digital landscape? What are some of the firsts and new trends that you've seen?
So I definitely use my team. We present new people every week that we find. We're constantly, I think it's really important just to see what's out there. I look at a lot of other platforms and see who they're featuring. I subscribe to magazines. I know it's crazy, but I still do, and I like to see who they profile. Obviously, Refinery, our edit team does an amazing job of profiling incredible young women across different diversity, and diversity to me now is so much more than ethnicity. We need to look at body diversity. We need to look at, you know, whether, you know, women are, or not just women, but whether people are able-bodied or disabled. You know, obviously gender fluidity, like all these things are really important to not just be looking at people in terms of their color or their race. But I use my team. They're a great resource to find new people. I always ask who they're looking at, and I think it's a great way for us to keep on trend on who's interesting and different and cool. I think what's trending, I was talking to you backstage about this, but like this new generation of kind of these real women that have a voice and talk about something or talk about nothing but have a really cool look, but they're not really influencers. They're not all kind of made up and curated. I think brands are really interested in them. We've seen a lot of major campaigns with kind of everyday women, which is incredible. You know, I did a campaign in Canada last year, and we had a woman in her 70s and a woman in her, you know, teens, and they were all kind of real women, and they were plastered across these drugstores around the country, and it was incredible to see, and they came out beautiful, and there was something very real and raw about it. So I think that, to me, is the next generation of kind of where things are going. There's a lot of agencies now that are cropping up that are kind of representing real women. So they don't look like models, but they're really interesting looking, and you know, they kind of fit a niche that maybe, or someone that no one's ever seen before, or that other people, like a small subsector, can relate to. So it's kind of just a new generation, like anything goes. But I think that's what's really interesting.
Totally.
I think, I'm just gonna say this because she won't say this herself. I think the reason why Natasha is really successful in her job specifically though is like, in addition to like speaking about diversity and like casting diversity, if you like go to her house and like sit around her dinner table, everyone looks different. Or like if you look at who she hires, everyone looks different. And I think that is like a real important point. Like yes, like Refinery does amazing content, but the woman that's like creating these programs, her lifestyle actually is influencing what. It's because if all your friends look the same, then you're not gonna even know. But like all her friends look different. They all same, different color, different sizes, different, and like her and her husband are like really poignant about that, and they bring that shit to work.
Amazing.
Clap for that.
That was amazing. You're a curator.
Yes.
Curator of humans, apparently.
I like it. It's your new tagline.
Totally.
Now for a really poignant question for this audience. Now that you all have successfully built your careers, if you could go back to your newly college graduated self, what advice would you tell yourself?
Don't drink Maduri sours because it's a lot of sugar.
True.
Fair.
And everything is gonna be okay, not because you want it to be, but just because it has to be.
I think you're right that everything's going to be okay. I think, I'm sure in all of what we've done, there's been a really stressful moment, or you've lost a client, you've lost something. It's going to be fine in the end. It's not going to make or break your career. I think that's a really big thing. And then I think just stay true to who you are. I know that sounds really cheesy and dumb, but stay just genuine. I think sometimes, you get in the industry and then you're like, okay, I have to be this certain way. I need to be more serious. I need to be, act more powerful. Maybe, I need to come off a little more angry or stern to get my point across. Not true. It's just not true, especially when you're working with really cool women who are, all over the industry and what we're doing right now. I just be a good person and just don't try to change that. Don't try to change yourself too much.
Invest in really good eye cream. Just kidding, ish. We're all gonna know. I'm trying to think, be kind to everyone because you never know where people are gonna pop up. Don't sweat the small stuff. There's that book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, because it really is small stuff. And get up earlier, do more. I don't know. No?
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm kidding. No, I used to sleep. Yes, get up early.
You should, but I can't.
Go to bed earlier, but get up earlier.
I can't, but I would love to.
I slept till 3 o'clock when I was getting out of college. I missed a lot of stuff, I feel like. I don't know.
No, I think that's good advice.
No, I read this article about how people that wake up earlier. Here's the thing. She's joking. She's laughing because we have babies and we're not sleeping. Any of us.
We just found out that three of us have
age.
7-month-old babies.
Totally.
And so, yes, but I will say, I. Sorry.
You should be saying sleep in your 20s.
Sleep in your 20s correctly. No, but sleep. I just feel like I missed doing some things because I was sleeping, the things that it's like.
I'd say sleep is amazing. I would sleep as much as I can. But I would say work hard. I think it's really important to work hard. I think people think that they can get really far without working hard, and I don't believe that's true. The women that started this organization and Ashley and everyone, she did not get here by not working hard. So I think that's really important. And also, you can do it all. I didn't think you could, but I think you can.
Yeah, balance.
This woman has 3 children and runs a business. And I think in whatever it is outside of your life, you can, get married, you can have a family, you can run a business, you can do all those things, but you can do it all. Don't think that you can't. It means you have less time maybe to get ready and go shopping and look on Instagram, but you really can do it all.
That's true.
Totally. Now let's open it up. Oh, go ahead.
And don't expect balance. I said this last year, but balance doesn't exist, ladies. It's a juggling act, right? Learn to juggle, and be okay with that. And that's yeah.
Let's open it up to 2 questions from the audience. I see one over there.
Hi, my name is Erica Lockett, and like you, Natasha, I believe that's your name, I started in banking, and I'm still in banking. I graduated college about 3 years ago, and I'm passionate about beauty, apparel, fashion, but I'm at this point where it's how do I leave banking, something so comfortable and something that it has transferable skills, but doesn't have the exact skills that someone in beauty or apparel might have? How do I make that transition to do something like you guys do?
Your skills are invaluable, just so you know. You learn something in banking that you don't learn many other places, so I think you can transfer it to a lot of different things. You should go in there, explain your passion, but also, you know how to look at spreadsheets, you know how to build decks, you know how to do all the things you have to do to run a business, whether it's beauty or, automotive. So I would say, take all those skills and showcase what you can do, because a lot of, companies are still run on all that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Amazing. One more question. I see you in the back.
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm a student at Oxy. I really enjoyed your answer, Christina, to making sure that different kinds of companies have different kinds of voices and representation. I guess I'm just sort of wondering, how do you walk the fine line between tokenizing these different identities in terms of you have the okay, you have 2 white girls and then you have like the black girl on the side because it's like you get a gold star, you are diverse. And then I think you very much see that in beauty brands when Fenty Beauty opened up all 50 shades of the foundations, and then companies that had never done that before realized that, oh shit, she's making bank, why don't we represent all these other people? So how do you create a genuine brand that actually cares about diversity, and how do you not be an asshole, I think.
Girl, you want a job? You want a job? I need some help. Okay, I'm gonna tell you one color that everyone likes. It's green. While I definitely think that companies see, and here's the thing, going back to what Natasha said, diversity is not just like, okay, I'm gonna get a black girl, I'm gonna get a brown girl, I'm gonna get a big girl, I'm gonna get this girl, I'm gonna get a bigger girl, I'm gonna get a small girl, it's gonna be great. Diversity is like, okay, so now that you have all these different people in the room, are you giving them the proper resources, information, access, and support to successfully do whatever you've hired them to do? Getting one black girl on a team of all white girls and then being like, we're going swimming every day and going to get blowouts, you're not giving homegirl the opportunity to be successful in what she does because you've put a line between what she's gonna look like based on hair care, right? So I'm always thinking like, yes, if you wanna if you wanna have 5 girls that look all the same and have one girl on your team that doesn't, all the women in this room are smarter than that. Just like you said, they're gonna call you out like, you're being an asshole. That's not diversity, that's not inclusion. That's just someone being like, shit, we forgot to put the black girl on stage. So I think that's an important point. And 2, I think as the industries grow and we do have really strong case studies like Fenty, like Glossier, brands that are just like, hey, we're not trying to cast people based on these like segmented profiles. We're just casting like poppin' ass girls, and all the poppin' ass girls just happen to be black girls. Well, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm never gonna like, and I don't think anyone looks at that brand and says, oh, it's a brand for black women. It's just, oh, it's a brand for every woman, and they just happen to have really beautiful brown girls in the campaign. And I think the more we as influential executives in the space can lead like that and think about those things, like the more those kind of questions that you just asked, I hope become moot. You know what I mean? Like, look at Teen Vogue. Like, their editor-in-chief is a gorgeous, intelligent black woman. She's not there because she's not the best at the job, but she just also happens to be this amazing woman that has a different point of view. Like, just like the woman that you said, like, your story I think is really interesting. Like, you two need to be friends because these are 2 girls that are clear allies.
Hey, girl.
And you guys need to do something together and hire all your black friends for jobs.
Yes.
And on that, thank you guys so much for sharing your wisdom today.
You have the mic on that. That was amazing.